Welcome to a deep dive into classics film noir.
Oh, yeah?
We're going to be cracking open a review of Roadhouse,
Okay.
a 1948 film that might seem like a typical thriller. But trust me, it's got some unexpected twists and turns.
Yeah, it's not just another dimly lit detective story.
Right.
What's fascinating here is how Roadhouse really plays with your expectations.
Yeah.
Even if you think, film noir, inside and out.
So let's just start with this love triangle, which is a staple of the genre.
Yeah.
We've got Jefty, who owns the Roadhouse.
Right.
He hires Lily, this singer with a past.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Pete, Jefty's right-hand man.
Right.
Who falls hard for her classic setup, right?
It seems that way at first, but,
Yeah.
casting Richard Widmark as Jefty
Right.
really adds this layer of complexity.
Yeah.
Think about his roles in films like Kiss of Death.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was known for playing villains.
Right.
So right away,
Yeah.
you're kind of primed to see Jefty
Right.
as more than just a lovesick sap.
That's such a good point. It's like the filmmakers are planting this seed of doubt from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
So, this love triangle is going to be anything but predictable.
Mm-hmm.
But how does that play out against Ida Lupino as Lily?
Right.
The review calls her performance captivating.
Yeah.
With this smoky, world-weary charm. What do you make of that description?
Well, I think it suggests a depth that goes beyond the typical femme fatale.
Right.
This world-weary charm hints at a woman who's seen too much of the dark side of life.
Right.
It makes her more compelling than the innocent, naive noir heroine that we often see.
Yeah, no, that makes her far more interesting to follow, especially when you consider that she did all her own singing in the film.
Wow.
The review mentioned it was unpolished,
Okay.
which, for some could be distracting, but I'm wondering if that could actually be a strength in this context.
I think so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That raw, unfiltered quality
Yeah.
really adds a layer of authenticity to Lily's character. It reinforces that idea that she's not some polished performer trying to seduce men. She's a woman with a story.
Right.
And that story is kind of etched into her voice.
It's like her imperfections make her more relatable, more human.
Yeah.
You can't help but be drawn to that kind of raw talent and vulnerability.
I agree.
But let's talk about the mood.
Okay.
I mean, film noir is known for its atmosphere.
Yes.
And the review says that Roadhouse captures that moody, shadowy essence perfectly.
Right.
But how does the film go beyond just visuals?
Well, I think the cinematography is deliberate.
Okay.
Almost like a visual representation of the characters' psyches.
Oh, interesting.
Notice how Jefty is often shot from low angles, especially as his obsession with Lily grows.
Right.
It makes him appear larger, more imposing, almost predatory.
Wow.
And the way he's framed just reinforces that sense of danger lurking beneath the surface.
That's such a great observation.
Yeah.
The way he's portrayed visually adds so much to his character, making him seem even more threatening.
Right.
And the music, does that play a part in building that tension?
Absolutely. The smoky jazz soundtrack really sets the stage, immersing you in that classic nightclub world.
Okay.
But then there are these strategic moments of silence.
Yeah.
Particularly when Jefty's barely contained rage starts to simmer. The absence of sound becomes almost deafening.
Wow.
It heightens the suspense in a way that music alone couldn't achieve.
It's like holding your breath, waiting for the inevitable explosion.
Exactly.
And speaking of unexpected turns, the review highlights a major shift in the third act.
Okay.
Most noirs keep us confined to those claustrophobic urban settings.
Yeah.
But Roadhouse throws a curveball.
Interesting.
What happens?
Well, the action spills out of the roadhouse and into the wilderness.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's this jarring shift, from the smoky interiors to vast open spaces.
Right.
But rather than feeling out of place, it amplifies the danger.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
You'd think that going from a confined space to the wide open wilderness would make things feel less intense. But you're saying it actually does the opposite?
Exactly.
Wow, okay.
It's a brilliant move by the filmmakers.
Yeah.
The claustrophobic tension of the roadhouse mirrors Jefty's possessiveness over Lily. But when they're out in the wilderness, the danger becomes more primal, more unpredictable.
So the setting becomes an extension of the character's internal states.
Right.
It reflects and magnifies the emotions at play.
Precisely.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and this shift in setting leads to a change in pace as well.
Okay.
We go from this simmering drama to a full-blown chase.
Right.
A fight for survival that's both physical and psychological. It's like the film itself is mirroring Jefty's descent into madness.
That's such an insightful connection. It's like the wilderness becomes a character itself, this untamed force that reflects the darkness within Jefty.
Exactly.
But before we get completely lost in the wilds,
Right.
there's another aspect the review touches upon.
Okay.
The idea that Roadhouse is feminist ahead of its time.
That's a bold statement.
I know, right?
Yeah.
How do they justify that?
Well, it comes down to the contrast between Lily's independence and Jefty's controlling nature.
Okay.
Remember that world-weary charm we discussed?
Yeah.
It suggests a woman who's been through a lot but hasn't let it break her.
Right.
She's making her own choices,
Yeah.
which in a genre where women are often depicted as either victims or manipulators is incredibly significant.
It's refreshing to see a female character in a film noir who's not easily categorized.
Yeah.
She's not a damsel in distress waiting for rescue.
Right.
And she's not some femme fatale pulling the strings.
Exactly.
She's a complex character navigating a dangerous world, refusing to be defined by the men around her.
Exactly. She's defying expectations. Just like the film itself,
Yeah.
that defiance, that refusal to conform to the norms of the genre
Right.
makes Roadhouse all the more compelling.
It's like the film is saying, look, there's more to film noir than just smoky alleys and trench coats. We can explore deeper themes, challenge societal norms, and present complex female characters who refuse to be boxed in.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
Roadhouse takes those familiar tropes of film noir and turns them on their head, offering a fresh perspective on a genre that was often seen as predictable.
Right.
And it does so with style and intelligence,
Right.
which is why it's so frustrating that the review calls it underrated.
Underrated. But why?
I know.
With all these intriguing elements, why wouldn't this film be hailed as a classic?
Right.
Was it simply overshadowed by other releases that year?
Yeah, maybe.
Or perhaps audiences just weren't ready for a noir film that dared to be different?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it's a question you can only answer for yourself by watching the film.
True.
But one thing's for sure.
Yeah.
Roadhouse challenges our preconceived notions of what film noir can be.
It's a film that begs to be discussed, analyzed, and debated.
Absolutely.
And thankfully, we have a lot more to unpack.
Yeah, we do.
So stay tuned.
Okay.
We'll be back shortly to continue our deep dive into Roadhouse and uncover even more of its hidden depths.
Looking forward to it. Welcome back to our deep dive into Roadhouse.
So we were just talking about Lily's character.
Right.
And how the film presents her as this strong, independent woman.
Yeah.
Which is really refreshing, kind of a departure from the typical noir archetypes.
It is.
The review called it feminist ahead of its time. But I'm curious, how does that actually play out in a genre that's often criticized for its portrayal of women?
Well, the key here, I think, is how Lily's agency is constantly juxtaposed against Jefty's controlling behavior. It's not just about her being a strong woman. It's about showcasing the consequences of toxic masculinity. We see how Jefty's possessiveness and jealousy just fuel his descent into darkness. While Lily, despite facing threats and manipulation, remains defiant.
It's like the film is holding up a mirror to those power dynamics. Forcing us to confront the uncomfortable realities of how women were often treated in those days. And sadly, how those patterns sometimes persist even today.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But it's not just a heavy-handed message, is it?
No, it's not.
It's woven into the narrative,
Right.
The characters' choices.
Yeah.
And how those choices ultimately shape their fates.
Exactly. The film doesn't shy away from portraying the complexities of these relationships.
Okay.
Lily isn't, some flawless heroine.
Right.
She's made mistakes.
Yeah.
And she carries her own burdens.
Right.
But she never allows herself to become a victim.
Right.
Her resilience in the face of Jefty's, escalating tyranny is what makes her so compelling.
That resilience is definitely a key takeaway.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how the film, visually, reinforces these power dynamics through this cinematography.
Right.
We talked about those low-angle shots of Jefty, making him seem more menacing.
Yeah.
Are there any other visual techniques that stand out to you?
Well, there's a recurring motif of light and shadow that I find particularly striking.
Okay.
Notice how Lily is often bathed in this soft light, especially during her performances, while Jefty is increasingly shrouded in darkness.
Oh, wow.
It's almost as if the film is visually representing the battle between good and evil,
right,
playing out within their souls.
That's a fantastic observation.
Yeah.
It's like the visual language of the film is mirroring the internal struggles of the characters, giving us another layer to interpret their actions and motivations.
Exactly.
But we can't forget the other key element of film noir.
Right.
The music.
The music.
How does Roadhouse utilize music to enhance the mood and heighten the suspense?
Well, it masterfully blends that classic smoky jazz club ambience with these strategic silences to create the sense of unease.
Right.
Think about the scene where Jefty confronts Lily in her dressing room.
Yeah.
The music fades away, leaving only the crackling tension in the air as his jealousy starts to boil over. It's an incredibly effective use of sound.
Yeah.
Or rather, the lack thereof, to build suspense.
You're right. Those moments of silence are so powerful.
Yeah.
They draw you in, gives you lean closer, anticipating what's going to happen next.
Right.
It's like the film is playing with your senses, keeping you constantly on edge.
Exactly.
But then there's that unexpected shift to the wilderness in the third act.
Right.
Which takes us out of that familiar noir setting.
Yeah.
And into something completely different.
Yeah, it's interesting.
How did the filmmakers manage to pull that off without losing the essence of the genre?
Well, I think the wilderness becomes this symbolic landscape.
Okay.
Reflecting the character's internal turmoil. The wide open spaces, far from lessening the tension, actually heighten it.
Wow.
It's like the characters are stripped bare, exposed in this unforgiving environment, and their true natures are revealed.
It's almost as if the wilderness acts as a catalyst.
Yeah.
Forcing them to confront their demons head on. There's nowhere to hide. No smoky back alleys to disappear into.
Right.
Their choices have real consequences. And those consequences play out against the backdrop of this unforgiving landscape.
Precisely. And it's through this shift in setting that the film manages to blend elements of psychological thriller, survival drama, and even a touch of Western into the classic noir framework.
Wow.
It's a testament to the filmmakers' skill that they were able to create such a unique and compelling hybrid.
It definitely elevates Roadhouse beyond your typical genre fare.
It does.
But with all these innovative elements, why does the review label it underrated? Was it simply a case of bad timing, getting lost in a sea of other releases?
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Or is there something more at play here?
Perhaps it was too daring for its time.
Okay.
Remember, audiences in 1948 had certain expectations for film noir.
Right.
They expected those hard-boiled detectives, those treacherous femmes fatales, those dimly lit urban landscapes, Roadhouse, with its complex female lead, its psychological depth, and its unexpected setting, might have simply challenged those conventions a bit too much.
Okay.
They wanted the familiar comfort of a world they already knew.
And Roadhouse dared to offer something different.
It did.
It took those familiar noir elements, the love triangle, the femme fatale, the moral ambiguity, and twisted them, pushing them further, adding layers of psychological depth and thematic resonance. It's almost as if it was a film ahead of its time.
And as we've seen throughout our deep dive, it also embraced imperfections in ways that most films wouldn't dare.
Right.
Think about Lily singing. That raw, untrained quality actually becomes a strength, making her character even more compelling.
It's a reminder that sometimes those rough edges, those imperfections, are what make a piece of art truly resonate. They give it a sense of authenticity, a rawness that grabs you and refuses to let go.
Exactly. And that rawness extends to the film's overall approach. It's not afraid to show the ugliness of human nature, to explore the dark side of desire and obsession. It doesn't offer easy answers or neat resolutions.
Which, ironically, might be another reason why it didn't achieve mainstream success.
Yeah, maybe.
Audiences often want to be comforted, reassured,
right,
given a sense of closure. But Roadhouse leaves you with questions, with a sense of unease, with a lingering feeling that the darkness it portrays isn't easily contained.
And yet, despite that darkness, or perhaps because of it, the film offers a glimmer of hope.
Okay.
Lily's resilience, her refusal to be broken, is a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
One that transcends genre conventions and speaks to something universal within us.
Right.
The desire to overcome adversity, to find our own path, even when the world seems determined to hold us back.
That's ultimately what makes Roadhouse such a rewarding experience.
Yeah.
It's a film that challenges us, provokes us, and leaves us with this sense of wonder and unease.
It's a film that stays with you long after the final frame.
Absolutely.
Prompting you to think about the characters, the themes, the choices that led them down their respective paths.
It's a film that lingers in your mind, demanding to be discussed and analyzed and inviting you to unravel its layers and discover its hidden depths.
And that's precisely what we aim to do here on The Deep Dive.
Exactly.
But for now, we need to take a short break.
Okay.
Don't worry, we'll be back soon to continue our exploration of Roadhouse.
Sounds good.
And delve into some of the criticisms the review raised.
Right.
As well as the lingering question of why this film, with all its brilliance, remains underrated.
Right.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to our deep dive into Roadhouse.
Back at it.
We've uncovered quite a bit about this film noir.
We have.
From its complex characters and genre-pending plot to its masterful use of visuals and sound. But there's still one question lingering in the air.
Yeah.
One that the review kept bringing up.
Okay.
Why is Roadhouse considered underrated?
It's a puzzle, right?
It is.
I mean, we've dissected its strengths.
Yeah.
The powerful performances, the atmospheric setting.
Right.
The thought-provoking themes.
Yeah.
Yet, it hasn't quite achieved that widespread recognition of some other noir classics.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that its very uniqueness might be a contributing factor. Maybe by defying those hard-boiled conventions.
Yeah.
By venturing beyond the dimly lit city streets.
Right.
It didn't fit neatly into the box that audiences expected from film noir.
That's a really intriguing point.
Yeah.
It's like,
a
record that skips a groove.
Right.
It catches you off guard, makes you pay attention.
Right.
But maybe some viewers in 1948 weren't quite ready for that disruption.
Oh.
They wanted that familiar comfort of a world they already knew.
And Roadhouse dared to offer something different.
Yeah, it did. It really did.
It took those familiar noir elements, the love triangle, the femme fatale, the moral ambiguity, and twisted them, pushing them further, adding layers of psychological depth and thematic resonance.
It's almost as if it was a film ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And as we've seen throughout our deep dive, it also embraced imperfections in ways that MoMA films wouldn't dare.
Yeah.
I mean, think about Lily's singing. That raw, untrained quality actually becomes a strength.
Yeah.
It makes her character even more compelling.
It's a reminder that sometimes those rough edges, those imperfections, are what make a piece of art truly resonate.
Right.
They give it a sense of authenticity, a rawness that grabs you and refuses to let go.
Exactly. And that rawness extends to the film's overall approach. It's not afraid to show the ugliness of human nature, to explore that dark side of desire and obsession.
Right.
It doesn't offer any easy answers or, neat resolutions.
Which, ironically, might be another reason why it didn't achieve mainstream success.
Right, because
audiences often want to be comforted, reassured, given a sense of closure.
Yeah.
But Roadhouse leaves you with questions.
It does.
With a sense of unease.
Yeah.
With a lingering feeling that the darkness it portrays isn't easily contained.
And yet, despite that darkness, or maybe because of it, the film offers this like a glimmer of hope.
Right.
Lily's resilience, her refusal to be broken.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit.
A powerful message.
It is.
One that transcends genre conventions.
Absolutely.
And speaks to something universal within us.
Right.
The desire to overcome adversity, to find our own path. Even when the world seems determined to hold us back.
And that's ultimately what makes Roadhouse such a rewarding experience.
Yeah.
It's a film that challenges us, provokes us, and leaves us with this sense of wonder and unease.
It's a film that stays with you long after the final frame.
Yeah.
Prompting you to think about the characters, the themes, the choices, that led them down their respective paths.
It's a film that lingers in your mind.
Right.
Demanding to be discussed, analyzed, inviting you to unravel its layers and discover its hidden depths.
And that's what makes the deep dive so rewarding.
Absolutely.
It's about uncovering those hidden layers, those moments of brilliance that might have been overlooked or forgotten.
It's about rediscovering the joy of exploration, the thrill of intellectual curiosity,
Right.
and the satisfaction of unearthing a cinematic treasure.
So if you haven't seen Roadhouse yet,
Yeah.
I urge you to seek it out.
You really sure.
Step into its shadowy world. Allow yourself to be swept away by its moody atmosphere and compelling characters.
Yeah, you might just discover a hidden gem.
Right.
A film that challenges your expectations and stays with you long after the credits roll.
And who knows it?
Yeah.
You might even find yourself reevaluating what you thought you knew about film noir.
Right, because Roadhouse proves that this genre, often dismissed as formulaic and predictable, has the power to surprise, to provoke, and to offer profound insights into the human condition.
And that's what makes the deep dive so rewarding.
It really is.
It's about uncovering those hidden layers.
Yeah.
Those unexpected connections, those moments of brilliance that might have been overlooked or forgotten.
Right. It's about rediscovering the joy of exploration, the thrill of intellectual curiosity, and the satisfaction of unearthing a cinematic treasure.
So until our next deep dive,
yes,
keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking out those films that dare to be different.
Absolutely.
Those stories that challenge our perceptions.
Yeah.
And expand our understanding of the world.
Because within those unexpected corners, within those shadows and imperfections, lie the true gems waiting to be discovered.
Absolutely. Well said.
Thank you.
That's it for this deep dive in the Roadhouse.
Until next time.
We'll see you next time.